One last time. Hey there, my young friends. This is Jeffrey Johnson here at Westlake High School, classroom 408 here in Johnson Land at Westlake High School. It's time to finish Hamlet. We're on the last scene. We have already kind of begun Act 2. In fact, we'll be picking up on page 115 as we've kind of skipped over a few pages. There's a long discussion to set up this pretend bet that Claudius is going to have with the King of France about, who's pulling for who and whatnot. And all the specifics of that bet aren't terribly important to our story. We're going to pick up at the bottom of 115, where Hamlet has agreed to do this fencing match with Laertes, knowing there might be something kind of shady, something fishy going on. At the bottom of page 115, it says, "You will lose this wager, my lord." That's where we're going to pick up. Horatio is warning him something bad is going on here. First, just looking at some of the main characters in this play, as far as who has passed away already. The play began with the death of the king. King Hamlet is no more, but we have Claudius in his place, and his wife has remained the queen, and there's Hamlet and whatnot. We have lost some people from the Polonius family. Polonius himself has died, and of course Ophelia has drowned. And I didn't include, but we could have included even before, way before the events of this play, the idea that Mrs. Polonius, that Polonius' wife, has also passed away, and that's really been a certain life for these two adult children as they've grown up without their mother. We have Horatio, he's still alive, but Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are no more, for they delivered their own death warrant to the King of England, and the King of England has executed them. Of course, Yorick, not a major character, obviously, but Yorick was someone that died when Hamlet was very young, so he is important as well as far as death and the way that death has affected these. So what we have left as we start this scene is these people remaining the main characters. Top of page 116, Hamlet's like, yes, maybe I'll lose, but I've been in continual practice. And really, the idea isn't that he's going to lose the fencing match, but the idea that something fishy might be going on, because we know that Claudius is a murderous type person, and this thing where he's pretending to be pulling for Hamlet, even have a wager on him, is crazy. There are odds that were kind of set. In fencing, it's kind of like a 12-round bout in this case, to where if you get a touch on someone, again, remember, there's supposed to be a little button on the top, the tip of the foil that keeps from penetrating. Laertes plans to remove his, dip it in poison and whatnot. But anytime someone would get a touch, that would end the round. In a 12-round bout, Laertes is so heavily favored that basically Hamlet only has to get to 3 to win, because the expectation is that Laertes is so much better, and Laertes would have to get all the way to 10 to win. Out of the 12 rounds, get to 10 before Hamlet gets to 3, and then he's the winner of the fencing match. Of course, they don't plan for it to go that long because they plan to kill him in the meantime. Basically, Hamlet says, "I'm ready," and he even has a famous quote on page 116, "Not a whit, we defy augury, special providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it's not now, it's not to come. If it not be to come, it will be now. If it's not now, yet it will come." The readiness is all, and this is the essence of what he's saying. We all just have to be ready when it's our time to die. Since no man has aught of what he leaves, what is it to leave the time? So none of us know when we're supposed to die. So in essence, there's really no such thing as dying early. We don't know when our appointed time is. It's very fatalistic, and Hamlet is even talking like, and we know from his soliloquies and whatnot, and just the story itself, he's kind of ready to go. We do know before he goes, he wants to get revenge for his father by taking out Claudius. On page 116, he asks Laertes for forgiveness. "Give me your pardon, sir, I've done you wrong." The way that he acted at the funeral was just over the top, and he feels bad about it. So they forgive each other. Basically Laertes pretends to forgive him. He fully intends to kill him in this fencing match. In fact, on page 117, middle of the page, right before they prepare to play, you see him going for the foils. The guy comes out with all the foils in this tray, in this card. It's usually how you see it represented. And when Laertes goes to pick one up, "This is too heavy, let me see another." He wants to make sure he picks up the one that he already has put in there, that has the little tip removed and has already dipped in poison. The king says, 5 lines, bottom of page 117, "Set me the stoops of wine upon that table. If Hamlet give the first or second hit, let all the battlements to ordnance fire, the king shall drink," excuse me, to Hamlet's better breath. Claudius is setting up his backup plan. He's setting wine out on the table, such that if Hamlet is winning, they can stop and he can drink to him, and he wants to get Hamlet over here to drink wine that he's put poison in. So we have our murder plot set up to make it look like an accident. We even have a backup plan if Laertes is able to to get the poison into Hamlet's bloodstream, that they can get some poison into his stomach through the wine. So, basically, top page 118, and this is really meant for the stage, not for the page. If even in class and we have this good audio recording, you're not really seeing anything. You have to use your imagination. But top page 118, they begin. They're going at it. They're going at it. And then you see a very palpable hit spoken by Osric. Hamlet wins. Hamlet wins the first round, basically. And were you to note anything, maybe just top page 118, where it says they hit a very palpable hit. Hamlet 1-0. Hamlet is winning 1-0. The king steps up. He drops a pearl into this cup of wine and says, Hamlet, come have a drink. Let's drink. And Hamlet's like, nah, I'm good. I'm kind of on a roll. As an athlete, you know, sometimes, those of you athletes, sometimes when you're in the zone, you want to keep going. Hamlet's not thinking, oh, you're trying to poison me, but he doesn't want to stop. He wants to keep going. So they go into round 2. In round 2, they're going at it. They're going at it. Hamlet gets another touch. He says, another hit, what say you? And Laertes says, a touch, I do confess. This time, it's so obvious, they don't even wait for the judgment of the little referee sitting there watching. Laertes just says, that's it, you got me. So now it's 2-0. Hamlet is up 2-0. Well, this murder plot isn't working out so great because Laertes is so much better. He should easily be getting to Hamlet, but Hamlet is just really dominating this fencing match. Maybe Laertes is a little nervous. Maybe now the full weight of I'm actually about to take someone's life is kind of throwing him off his game. Maybe Hamlet's just free and easy because he doesn't really care if he dies, even if there is something fishy going on. So he's dominating. Then this happens, right in the middle of page 118. Gertrude says, mark these 3 lines. He's fat and scant of breath. And by fat, she means out of shape. It looks like he's about to pass out. Here, Hamlet, take thy napkin, rub thy brows. The queen carouses to thy fortune. Carouse is another word for drink. She steps up and says, Hamlet, come take a break. Let me rub your brows. I want to drink to your success. She doesn't stop to think about what might be in that cup. She knows what kind of person Claudius is, but she's not thinking Claudius is trying to kill Hamlet at this moment. She picks up Hamlet's cup, and the king is like, Gertrude, do not drink. She's like, of course I'm going to drink to my son. And the king can't stop her from drinking because if he tells her there's poison in that cup, everybody in the room obviously knows that he was trying to kill Hamlet. So Gertrude takes a big old swig of that drink, and obviously that is not going to be good for her as that wine with poison in it goes down. So they go back to another round. For round 3, they're just going. The queen is sitting back in her chair just watching. And then finally, at the bottom of page 118, nothing, neither way. They're going at it. Basically, it's kind of a draw for round 3. If you see your stage directions, let me encourage you to maybe mark them. Laertes wounds Hamlet, then scuffling, they change rapiers, and Hamlet wounds Laertes. Basically, what happens here is anytime they call for a break, nothing either way, it's a break, you can let your guard down. Hamlet's not defending himself anymore. Laertes just goes up to Hamlet, and just scratches him, pokes him with the foil. So there's like poison in his bloodstream. Well, that ticks Hamlet off, so they kind of scuffle, they wrestle, they both drop their foils. Hamlet picks up Laertes' foil, pokes him right back, not realizing that it's poison on it, but he realizes that Laertes just had a sharp tip and poked him. So now Hamlet has a little cut. He's got some poison in him. Laertes, as he gets stabbed by Hamlet, gets poked by Hamlet, he realizes exactly what happened. And this plan is just going all to poo-poo at this point. This foolproof plan to be able to kill Hamlet. The queen is over there with some poison in her belly. Hamlet has some poison and he doesn't know it. Laertes has some poison in him and does know it. In fact, top page 119, second line on page 119. How is it, Laertes asks Osric. And Laertes says, why, as a woodcock to my own springe, Osric. He knows that he fell into his own trap. Finally, the poison starts to take effect on the queen. Maybe mark the last 2 lines before she passes. No, the drink. Oh, my dear Hamlet, the drink, I am poison. And usually when you see this death scene that she has, before she actually falls over and dies, she kind of locks eyes with Claudius, realizing that he actually killed her in his attempt to kill Hamlet. And she knows exactly who he is and what he is. So Gertrude is no more. She gone. Meanwhile, Laertes is ready at this point to reveal to everyone what's really going on here. I would mark all 8 lines of this very powerful speech Laertes says before he passes. It is here, Hamlet. Hamlet, thou art slain. No medicine in the world can do thee good. In thee there is not half an hour of life. The treacherous instrument is in thy hand, unbaited in venom. You're holding a sharp-tipped foil that has poison on it. The foul practice hath turned itself on me. Lo, here I lie, never to rise again. Thy mother's poison, I can no more. And Laertes loudly proclaims, the king's to blame. And this is something that he proclaims not just for Hamlet, for everyone here. Laertes realizes that Claudius has really manipulated him this whole time, that in his grief, Claudius was able to talk him into this murder plot and whatnot. So at this point, Hamlet knows that he's just got to do what he should have done a long time ago. The 3 lines right before the king dies, I would mark them. Hear thou incestuous, murderous, damned Dane, drink off this potion, is thy union here, follow my mother. Man, Hamlet goes over while he's holding this poison tip foil. He stabs the king, but then he drops that. He picks up the poison and grabs the king by the head and just starts to shove, to force the liquid down his throat. So he both stabs him, and he poisons him with the foil, and he poisons him with the wine. And Claudius is no more. Finally, this deed, of course, it's a Shakespearean play. We needed all the drama and the buildup. But had Hamlet had the courage to just do this back when the ghost told him, and he had to go through all the experience of making sure that it's real. It wasn't just Satan trying to trap him. He gets his evidence, but then after the evidence, he had a chance to kill him, but he was praying, and then he tried to kill him. He killed the wrong person. All this has led to others dying that wouldn't necessarily have had to die had Hamlet been able to act sooner, but he just couldn't act. And even like he said when he was talking to Laertes, I wish I was able to just act like you and be decisive instead of someone that's just so emotional. And he wasn't able to act this whole time, and now all these others have died. Right after the king dies, I maybe mark the next 5 lines. Laertes says, he is justly served. It is a poison tempered by himself. Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not on thee, nor mine on thee. And then Laertes himself passes away. Now, this entire family has suffered tragedy of death. Interesting that before he passes, he forgives Hamlet for his father's death. He doesn't say it, but I think it's maybe even implied that he forgives Hamlet for Ophelia's death. Because Laertes understands the real person behind all of this, that's caused all of this, is Claudius. So they forgive each other, then Laertes, passes away. At the bottom of page 119, Hamlet's trying to tell Horatio, report me and my cause all right. Look at top page 120. I would mark for you, if I were you, 3 lines. Horatio says, never believe it. I am more an antique Roman than a Dane. Here's yet some liquor left. And you have a footnote at the bottom of the page says the antique Roman is the Romans' way, and we kind of learned this in Julius Caesar, was that you would choose suicide over being in this kind of situation that Horatio is left in. He literally picks up the cup and tries to take his own life. If you did study Caesar, you remember when Cassius, it was time to die, he got his servant to stab him. Brutus, when it was time to die, he got his servant to hold the sword so he could stab himself. When Brutus's wife, it was time to die, these Stoics were very trying to show that they could bear pain. She actually swallowed hot coals and took her own life that way. And the idea of suicide in Roman days was it was a very, very honorable way to go. Horatio sees they're all gone. Hamlet's about to die. He's about to take his life. He picks up the cup and is about to drink the poison. Little side note for you: the character of Horatio was named after there's a character on a famous television show called CSI Miami, Horatio Kane, which in essence was named after this character because the idea that he was this investigator and he would always speak for the dead. Because that's exactly what Hamlet is asking Horatio here to do. Horatio, I'm gone. You have to stay alive. The last 3 lines of his little speech there above enter Osric, maybe mark them. I've sent thee from felicity a while in this harsh world, draw thy breath in pain to tell my story. Horatio, I'm gone. You can't take your life right now. You have to stay alive and tell everyone what really happened here. The world needs to know what this person did. The world needs to know what really happened. So live and be my voice, be my tongue. Tell everybody what really happened here. So Horatio is going to live. Middle of page 120 before Hamlet passes, he says, I do prophesy the election lights on Fortinbras. He has my dying voice. Hamlet basically proclaims that Fortinbras has his endorsement. Hamlet supports him to take over as king. Hamlet's father had taken everything away from Fortinbras' father. Fortinbras now is the military leader left of all these people, and Hamlet just assumes he's going to be the next king and endorses him for that. Then Hamlet passes away. And the last words he says is, "The rest is silence." And then Horatio says, "Good night, sweet prince." And that's also a very famous line. So Hamlet himself is no more. So the entire family is gone for Hamlet. The entire family is gone for Horatio. And really the only people we have left of our key characters is Horatio to tell the story, and then Fortinbras, who is going to be the new king in Hamlet's absence. A very smart thing that Fortinbras does when he shows up, and it's interesting that after all this is going on, the two English ambassadors show up to give word that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, which top page 121. It's almost comical. They're saying, "Rosie and Gildy are dead. Who should we tell?" And Horatio says, "Well, not him, because he didn't give the order anyway." And there's dead Claudius on the floor. But then, as the English ambassadors shown up, Fortinbras and his army have shown up. Remember, they had crossed over through Denmark to go fight for a tiny little piece of land, and what they really seemed to have been doing was getting their army in position to where they could advance. And even though he said he would never attack Denmark, if he had free passage through Denmark, that was his plan all along. It wasn't just to attack Poland. Fortinbras wants to conquer. So here he is to conquer, and they get all the way up to the castle, and there's no resistance because all this palace intrigue, what's going on, there's murder plots, there's fencing matches and whatnot. Nobody's really paying attention to anything else. So Fortinbras is able to very peacefully basically take over. And when he comes, basically Horatio is able to tell him, Hamlet, the prince here, endorses you as the king. So Fortinbras does a pretty clever thing. The last two lines on 121, "Let four captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage. For he was likely, had he been put on," page 122, "to have proved most royal." Fortinbras proclaims, let's give Hamlet, not Claudius, the king, let's give Hamlet a king's burial, a royal burial. Had he been put on the throne, had he become king, he would have been a good king. This is very politically savvy of Fortinbras as he's trying to assert himself as a new king and he wants the acceptance of the people. The first thing he's going to do is honor their prince, as Hamlet was very, very well liked by the people. And our 5-act Shakespearean play ends with that proclamation that Fortinbras is going to give Hamlet a royal funeral. Wow. 5-act Shakespearean play that took us 12 days of reading and took us 12 videos to get through. I hope that as you have read Shakespeare plays in high school, maybe in 9th grade you read Romeo and Juliet, maybe in 10th grade it was Macbeth, or it could have been Julius Caesar. But really for this experience, maybe your last Shakespeare experience in high school, I hope to goodness that it was somewhat enjoyable. I know it can be kind of tedious and the language can be difficult. If you had to read the whole thing on your own, I think it would be very difficult at this stage of your schooling. But I really, if nothing else, even just the over teaching and maybe spoon feeding too much to you and not forcing you to read it on your own, my hope is that when you look back on your high school experience, that at least once, the most recent one, your 12th grade experience, Shakespeare wasn't torture, that reading Shakespeare was somewhat enjoyable. I highly encourage you, if you're ever in a situation, either at university or just in some situation where there are touring companies coming around acting, if you ever get a chance to see Hamlet on stage, do it. Make yourself go and see it. It is a very enjoyable play to watch. It is long, of course, but man, I hope it's been useful in helping you to be a little bit better reader and to understand, Shakespearean language. But it's really meant for the stage. It's not meant for the page. There we go. I hope that this has been a good experience for you. Thanks very much. Okay, bye.